And we are live.
Hello, my name is Vince Harper, and I'm the Director of Community Engagement for Community Action Partnership of Sonoma County, and we're here with the latest edition of the Community Conversations on Race. So welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here, and I'll be sharing your bios in just a minute. So anybody, we have Spanish translation that's available. So if you need that, it is available on our YouTube channel, and you can find the link in the chat box, the comment box, excuse me. So if that's available, and you can switch over to that link. So thank you very much for being here. We are very excited to have another edition of Community Conversations on Race. Remembering how we started this in the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, and we're continuing on this road towards a better understanding around race and conflict and communication and that kind of thing, so that we can have a better community through these conversations. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to introduce the candidates for the first district, and I'm glad that I said that right, because I've been saying 5th district for so long that I think that's because the supervisory district, and so I've been saying that forever. So first district, just remember that. So we have Jorge Inocencio, immigrant parents from Mexico who came to the United States to build a better life for their kids and themselves. Jorge watched from a young age how hard his mom and dad worked, all the sacrifices they made, so he and his 3 siblings could enjoy the American dream. This inspired Jorge to contribute to their household even as a teenager. From Burbank Elementary School to Cook Middle School to Elsie Allen High School to Santa Rosa Junior College and Sonoma State University, Jorge is very proud to say that he's a hometown product of Roseland, Santa Rosa, and Sonoma County schools and communities. Now, as an electrical engineer at Keysight Technologies across town, he wants to bring his analytical skills, deep curiosity, and passion for people to the Santa Rosa City Council. So welcome, Jorge. Next, we have Eddie Alvarez. Eddie is a lifelong resident of Santa Rosa, born at Memorial High School to hardworking blue-collar parents. After graduating high school, he continued his education at Field College, where he received his associate degree in business computing administration. He grew up appreciating the character and the heart of the Roseland community, a community that's been an integral part of his life. He witnessed firsthand the lack of attention and support Roseland community has received from previous city leadership. The inequity of resources is apparent in the lack of sidewalks and street lighting that should provide basic safety to members of our community. He embraces our community's diversity as it is our strength and prepares us for the challenges ahead. It is time that we have a community leader that will champion change while fighting for the character and the soul of this beloved Southwest community. Thank you for being here, Eddie.
Thank you, Vince.
And last but not least, we have Dwayne DeWitt. As a person raised in the Santa Rosa area and attending Santa Rosa schools in Roseland, as well as Santa Rosa High and Santa Rosa Junior College, after enlisting in the U.S. Army, he believes he has a background with strong qualifications to serve on Santa Rosa City Council, especially because he has spent at least 25 years attending various city and Sonoma County meetings of various boards, commissions, city council, Council, and specifically, he has attended more meetings of various state and federal agencies also than many council people ever have. So his qualifications include serving on Southwest Santa Rosa Redevelopment Project Area Committee from 2000 to 2004 in an elected capacity, first as secretary, then vice chairman, and finally as chairperson. He served on various city advisory committees, such as the Rosa Community-Based Transportation Plan and the Bear Farm and Park Steering Committee, and most recently, the Rosa Specific Plan. So welcome, Dwayne.
Thank you, Vince.
Welcome to you all.
Yeah, thanks to everybody.
All right, so I'm gonna get started in a second here. Bring my questions up. Okay, so I've got about 5 questions. Then we're gonna, hopefully we'll be able to go to the comments box and get questions from the audience. So let me get you started with, okay, all right. All right, so let's start with Jorge. And I'll give you the question, and each of you will get about 2 minutes to answer the question. So we have a timekeeper, and she's going to give you a little signal when you get close to the end, and then we'll at 2 minutes we're going to need to move on. So first question: is there anything that you would like to add to your bio, and also can you share why you chose to run for city council? So Jorge.
Yeah, sure. So I think one thing that I always forgot to add to my bio, and recently I've gotten a little bit of flack for, was I did play rugby and football at LCL in high school, and so I'm a member of the Lobo rugby family. And so last time my coach said I have to start talking about that. He remembered. So he said once a Lobo, always a Lobo. So that's the one thing I always forget. I need to add that. But of course,
that's Mr. Petty, right?
Yes, Mr. Petty. But yeah, I am a member of the Lobo rugby family. And that's about it for what I've forgotten to add. But really the reason why I decided to run for city council, if I can summarize it in one word, it's representation, and it's representation because growing up in Southwest Santa Rosa, and in Roseland in particular, I always wondered why our roads, our infrastructure weren't up to speed with the rest of Santa Rosa. And now having gone to Sonoma State and having established myself here in my community, I still have these questions, and I realize that they haven't been answered. And the way I see it is the reason we do have some of these infrastructure issues and some of these inequities in Southwest Santa Rosa and South Santa Rosa is really because we have a lack of representation. And so that's why I'm running, to improve representation. And then as I'm running and as I've been talking to people, I've noticed that it's also about a transformation of our democratic process here in Santa Rosa. I think as a city, we should start focusing on bringing people in and bringing people to the table, so that all voices are heard and so that everybody has a chance to ask for what it is that's important to them and their community. So those are really that's the biggest reason why I'm running, representation. And finally, it's to use that representation to focus on issues of equity, and at the city council level, what that looks like to me, issues of equity in place and service. So that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, Eddie, would you like to repeat the question or?
No, we're good, brother. We're good. Okay. It's if we're gonna have a conversation about community and we're gonna have a conversation about race, we have to get really real. Maybe even to the point of being uncomfortable. For myself being raised in Santa Rosa, I got to see a little bit of a different Santa Rosa experience. I've had those friends die in my arms because of gun violence. I've I've witnessed a lot of death. I've jumped over puddles of blood on the way to school. Just this morning, or just after, actually before I left here. So if I see me a little bit out of it, you'll have to excuse me. At my place of business, the Hook Dispensary, one of our local transients overdosed. There was no coming back from him. So rest in peace. That is the reality of what we live. That is the reality of our world. And I'm glad that today's future generation has the opportunity to seek a higher level of education. I'm ever so happy. In fact, I might even be a little bit jealous, because I wish that would have been an option for me, but it wasn't. My option was to run these streets and survive, and that I have done. And not only have I survived, but I've thrived. I've been able to call myself a successful business person who understands the struggles of those before us. My dad, he never went to school. My mom, she went to school to the 3rd grade. I don't have educated parents, but I have knowledgeable parents who understand what survival means, who understand what thriving in the most difficult of scenario means. So when we are going to speak of conversations of race, let's speak about the reality, the hurt, the pain, being drug out of your car with a knee on your head. That's the conversation that I want to have today. What makes people uncomfortable, because this is reality. This is what we've lived. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dwayne, would you like to repeat the question? Or are you okay?
No, I'm good. And thank you to both Eddie and Jorge. And I myself also, having grown up in Roseland, understand the complex dynamics of us being a deliberately disadvantaged and underserved area for my entire life. And there was a lot of multiculturalism in Roseland. As I grew up, we got together with people from different backgrounds, and it seemed there was less tension at that time, even though we had difficulties with the police and the sheriffs, and we had the NAACP chapter had started in Roseland due to the fact that Santa Rosa had been a discriminatory place in the past. It's difficult to change those long time type situations. But what I'd like to do, if I'm elected, is bring open government and the recommendations from the Open Government Task Force to the forefront and make sure that we let everybody in Santa Rosa have a chance to be a voice. There hasn't been equity, there hasn't been fairness in the past, but we could make that change now if we work together. All three of us, Eddie, Jorge, and myself. Whoever wins, work with the others. And if you don't win, don't go away, stay in the mix, keep fighting for racial justice and also environmental justice. That's what Roseland needs. I support term limits so that people don't stay on the council forever. And I believe in a popularly elected mayor so that the people of Santa Rosa pick who is going to be the mayor rather than folks and cronies downtown saying, well, this is who we want. It's a difficult time in America. It's been there before. We can get through this, and this too shall pass. But we have to work together to make Roseland and South Park the best possible places we can. I consider it a Roseland and South Park team, RASP, and we can be the beginning of that and make sure that people from Roseland and South Park are appointed to every board and commission and make sure people of color are given their due and they get to be up there as much as anyone else. If people want to volunteer, come on down and get the word out right now so that everybody could hit the ground running on this and not be behind like we've been for the last couple of years when the city deliberately did not let Roseland vote first in the districts. This has been something that's a long time pattern with the people in the power not sharing. So let's work together to share for a better future for all the folks of not just Roseland and South Park in District 1, but the entire city of Santa Rosa. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you all. And I actually appreciate you mentioning South Park. I think at one of the earlier debates that most of the talk was about Roseland. So appreciate you adding that in and making sure that that people know that there is a broader area in Santa Rosa that you guys are going to represent.
You betcha.
So I'm going to switch up the order a little bit. Eddie, going to have you go next. So just going to flip the order. And next question. So obviously this is the first time that an individual will be selected to represent this district. So District 1. What opportunities or challenges do you see in representing your district in the larger Santa Rosa City Council context?
I agree that and I appreciate that you said opportunities, because that is what we focus on. We don't see challenges. Challenges, those are things that we overcome, and once we overcome them, they are experiences for others to know how to avoid them. So we will focus on our opportunities. What opportunities I see for Roseland is an opportunity for us to invest into our neighborhood, an opportunity for us to give a reason of being for our students, our parents, to know that there are people out there working for the benefit of their future. What I would like to see is for that strength to grow. It's something that we saw witness over the weekend out there in South Park. It's the opportunity where people came out and said, wow, we appreciate that somebody cares about South Park enough to do something for us. And not only that, but after that happened, I received many emails and calls about people who want to participate. Many people in our community, not only in Southwest Santa Rosa, want to help our community out. They just don't know how. And sadly for our area, there's not a vehicle that exists that has proven to the really in-depth individuals. We've seen many great-hearted individuals who come into our neighborhood, but sadly they don't know what we're looking for. We witnessed it this weekend. We witnessed how people that we encountered with Pocho over the last 2 or 3 weeks, where they were like, no, we're good with you guys. We're good with you guys. And Pocho saying, hey, look, I'm born and raised in I'm raised in South Park. And they're like, yeah, we appreciate it. You can give us a sign, but that's as far as it was. But we kept persisting. And all of a sudden they came out. They registered to vote for the first time in their life. And these are grown men. This is the difference of what we're starting to see. It's an opportunity for us to become stronger together. That's what I see in front of us, especially now. We are district number 1. This is opportunity number 1. We want to become number 1. That's what I will leave Santa Rosa with. And it's Moreland as well. Don't forget about my Moreland brothers. We and sisters, we are about to change Santa Rosa for the better. We are about to be an asset, no longer liability. We will not be that unwanted stepchild that we've been called for over 40 years.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Jorge. So same question. Do you need me to repeat it, or are you good to go?
No, I think I'm ready to go. Yeah, in terms of the opportunities and challenges here, I think, the biggest opportunity really, it's a tremendous chance to bring people into the process and really to work together. Having grown up here and having been a member of this community for my entire life, I think the one thing that's missing is getting that information out. There are a lot of great projects, there's a lot of great information, but now it's an opportunity to talk about equity and to talk about having Santa Rosa be a city that puts residents first, and not just in my district. Really, it's for the entire city, and finding ways to work together with our communities and within our neighborhoods and neighborhood groups to address these challenges that are important to us. Another tremendous opportunity that this is, it's really is a chance to change how, as I said before, how democracy works in District 1. I truly believe that for democracy to work, it has to be representational of the community, and right now it's not. And Wayne had earlier alluded to bringing people into subcommittees and to boards, and I think that's an extremely important step. And I think that's something that we need to focus on, and that's a great opportunity to focus on right now, particularly for representing this district. One of the challenges I do see, however, is, given that we're now in district-based elections, it's going to be difficult for other council members, I believe, to focus on the well-being of all of Santa Rosa. And it's going to be difficult to work in that situation, because I strongly believe that District 1 needs more resources to get up to the speed of the rest of the districts. And so understanding that and making the other council members understand that and working together so that we're all on the same page. I think that's a tremendous challenge. But I think it can be overcome, but we just need to have a focus that's one of the keys to enable any progress, I believe, is working together and making sure the other council members are on board.
Great, thank you. Okay, Dwayne, do you need me to read the question again, or are you?
No, I'm ready. Thank you kindly. Okay. And thank you to both Eddie and Jorge once again for talking about the future and the opportunities. The most important thing, I believe, is accountability for this already in place government to work fairly with South Park and Roseland. They have both, South Park and Roseland, been around as long as Santa Rosa, but have been denied that fairness by the elected officials and the policy makers. Participatory budgeting, going out to the people and asking them what they would like to see happen, and the prioritization of the projects within South Park and Roseland to make sure that the folks who pay the taxes are starting to see some return on their investment in their community. As it is now, potholed roads, poor amenities, not enough parks. We need hundreds of acres of parks and open space for the disadvantaged communities of Roseland and South Park. We've got the highest densities of people in the Roseland Creek Census District and not enough sports fields. There needs to be transparency in planning for these future amenities. The people, such as those that go to to the Southwest Community Park, as well as South Park's Martin Luther King Park, should be allowed the opportunity to talk about what they'd like to see there. Southwest Community Park needs more. We are already packed every weekend. We need to have more soccer fields, more basketball courts, more volleyball courts, and we need to work with the people who come there to find what they'd like to do and have for their future. In 2004, I participated in a group study called the Roseland Independent Group Study that brought forward an opportunities and challenge perspective of what was going on in Roseland at the time. We gave that to Mike Riley, the then supervisor for District 5. We gave it to the Santa Rosa mayor also. It was done by graduate level students at the University of California, good professional folks that pointed out how we could make Roseland better. And yet we were shined on. The elected officials didn't do much with us. So now we've got the Sebastopol Road corridor, and we've got densities that have terrible traffic, the highest level of childhood asthma from the diesel particulate matter pollution that's occurring down there. And when you try to talk with city staff, they ignore you. So if elected to the council, I'll be working to make sure that we have a voice of the people talking to the city staff that make the decisions, because frequently it's not the elected official, it's city staff, all the way up to the top manager, who keeps saying he wants to have a conversation with the community, but we've never had it. So come on, time to put up, time to work together and get it all done. We can all work together as a RASP team, as I've said to both Eddie and Jorge, and I plan on being on it no matter who invites me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dwayne.
My pleasure.
So next we're going to go to Eddie. So this has been a time of extreme unrest in our country. What is your opinion of the BLM movement, so the Black Lives Matter movement, and how will you help race relations in your district?
Oh, Vince, don't mean to be rude, brother. I just want to make sure that Dwayne was afforded a question to answer first.
It's all good, bro. Whenever I go, I go.
I love you, brother.
I think the order got mixed up a bit.
That's fine. He did say random, so it is random. I won't have you repeat the question. I believe the question is, what have I done to help the movement, if I'm not mistaken? Does that sound about right, Vince?
Say that again. Sorry.
The question was, what have I done to help the movement?
So in your opinion, how will you help with the movement in your district?
We'll speak about what I've done. when BLM came to light, I was asked to help not only participate, but finance an event that we had at Peterson Park. This was after the unrest that we had seen downtown. Many people were worried that there was going to be violence, especially in the middle of a neighborhood, but there weren't any police officers. It was community leaders, community elders, the youth. We participated in social distancing dance-offs. There was songs. There was a lot of hurt being expressed. What I've helped do is give, no, not give, help form a platform where young people can express their anger, where young people can express their ideas, where old people can express their experiences. When it comes to marching alongside in the streets of Santa Rosa, I've been there alongside. That's what I've been doing. What I want to continue to do is to create a bigger platform for people to be able to express themselves, to be able to be heard, to be able to voice their ideas. That's what I've been doing. In regards to what I plan to do, we could speak of Stops with Dignity, which is a program that I, along with my team, have been working on, along with, after sitting with Chief Navarro and Mayor Tom. You know, it's one of the questions that Mayor Tom asked me is, Eddie, do you feel safe, and what can we do to make you feel safer? It's something that I had never been asked before in my 44 years of age. And one of the things that I want to do is work with the field training officers and bring them to the neighborhood, have them walk the neighborhood, have them meet the community members, and them meet the FTOs, the field training officers, really become personal with one and another. I want to see that when a police stop a vehicle, that the first questions that they're asking is, are you, or that no longer are the first questions, are you on parole or probation? And that already leads into something very, very different. As a city council candidate, an hour before I had an interview with North Bay Labor Council, I was pulled out of the vehicle. My car searched. Well, the only thing that stopped them from continuing on is when they found the booklet that I received from Stephanie Williams in the city clerk's office. And he looks at me and he goes, oh, you're a candidate. I am, and I'm going to be late for my interview. He goes, you know what? This is far enough. Continue on and you have a good day. This is a police officer that literally waved at me, and I waved back when I was walking out of my place of business, only to be stopped down the street. The excuse? Something wrong with the light or the license plate of the vehicle that I had borrowed from one of my employees. Treat us with dignity. That's what I want to see in the future. Treat us as human beings, and I will demand that happens. I'm not asking, I'm demanding.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Just want to take a second here. I might have made a mistake. And Jorge, did I skip you on the second question? You're good? Okay.
No, yeah, I went.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, just trying to keep this order is trying to, closely pay attention to what you guys are talking, and then it's easy to kind of get out of order. So, we'll go back to, actually, maybe we'll go to Dwayne next.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
With that same question.
Are you coming to me? I'm in order. I like to hear that.
Yes.
Thank you kindly. I definitely, for a long time, have been supportive of issues involving what some say is the importance of peaceful, nonviolent, public protest on policies that aren't working. So before Black Lives Matter more recently became more well-known, we had the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. We had a chapter, or they're called a unit, that started here in Sonoma County back in the late 50s, early 60s, because Sonoma County has been a place that's had racism throughout its history, throughout when the people who came here and enslaved the Native Americans and got started moving forward. And that still hasn't ever been dealt with in terms of fairness and equity. Over in South Park, you can talk to descendants of those people, both blacks that came here during the Civil War and Native Americans who had been here beforehand. So we've got a community that needs to actually come to grips with the fact that although we all bleed red, people who've been in charge for a long time have kind of looked askance at anybody that didn't look the same way as them. When I was fortunate in this century to go to college and study what they called community development and housing, we had a students of color in planning group. And I was able to work with some really good people about how we should be empowering young people, even at the junior high and high school age, to be involved in planning for the future of cities and urban areas. I'm all supportive about giving housing a more fair outlook than we have now, where we have the well-to-do building their mansions up on the hillsides, and then we have to worry about the fires, while the people down in the flats, the hardworking folks, are just trying a place to have to live. So I was one of the main founders of the Sonoma County Housing Advocacy Group. And what we were striving for was that we would have housing that allowed people of color to also be living fairly. South Park was set up as a special spot for people of color to be able to live fairly and equally. And the rest of the city hasn't ever really embraced that. Now they've been steering and focusing people of color into certain areas and not letting it be, as we say here in the nation, you can live anywhere in Santa Rosa. That's the way it's supposed to be. So in terms of civil unrest, I want to make sure people are nonviolent here in Santa Rosa. I've talked with Chief Navarro also and current mayor, Mr. Schwedhelm, who was once police chief also. We have to make sure we don't have too much violence on their side. Because remember, it's only been 20 years ago that we had the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights come here because there had so many fatalities occur with people in custody. So it's really important that we all work together to avoid any type of violence, and we work to empower people of color so they no longer feel that they've been discriminated against by a system which seems to be here still in place in Santa Rosa, not really working to help uplift them and give them the opportunities that we pointed out in our Rosa Independent Group study over 16 years ago. Thank you for the time.
Perfect, thank you. Let me switch over to Jorge. We'll give you a quick COVID-19 question, and then we'll jump into questions from the audience. They're coming in a little bit quicker. So let's talk a little bit about COVID-19 and
wait, Vince, I don't think I answered question 3.
Oh, okay. You want to go ahead and hit that one?
Sure, yeah, unless you think the timing is, you want more questions?
Why don't you go ahead?
Yes,
okay. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, I guess, to start, I'm in strong support of the Black Lives Matter movement. I've been to the protests and I've spoken at some of them as well. And I think what I think of the movement, it's an appropriate reaction. It's a necessary reaction to systemic injustice in the United States. And on top of that, it's starting a conversation about better police accountability and the need to bring our community into any of those conversations. So, that's a huge factor, because when these police killings happen, the pain comes from the act of it itself, but then it also comes when there's no reaction, when there's no justice in the eyes of many people. And that's what I see a reaction to, a reaction to not having justice and not having accountability. So that's, I think, the key to this movement. If we're looking at it at our county level, I think that, for Sonoma County, we're in a moment where we need to be talking about and having these conversations about systemic racism, and systemic racism has been around for so long. And, the first step was equality. Now it's equity. And soon we should start talking about justice and economic justice and housing justice, and really moving beyond equity. Right now, I think we're in the moment to start talking about equity, to start talking about addressing the needs of individuals on an individualized basis, and not being afraid to address resources there. And after that comes justice, so that we all can live dignified lives that we want to live. And again, I think it starts it's really everything in mind, because it's about policing, it's about housing, it's about infrastructure, it's about jobs, it's about how Latinos are overrepresented in services and administration jobs, and it's about small business creation. I think the key is to start looking at racial justice and systemic racism at all levels of government. So,
thank you. Okay, so let me jump over to this COVID question. So, we know that the BIPOC community has been hit hard in the U.S. and in Sonoma County, because of COVID-19. Because of limited access to COVID testing and treatment, that leaves BIPOC people facing a huge amount of mental trauma and higher number of COVID cases. How will you as a city council member work to improve the conditions for members of our community?
That one's for me, Vince?
Let's go with Eddie, if that's okay.
Sorry about that, Dwayne.
We're getting there, bro.
We're going to get there sooner or later, man. The question being our BIPOC community in Roseland. Whenever the question about COVID and Roseland comes into play, I think about my parents who, at 6:05, they're working right now. Those folks right there have worked every day of their life for as long as I can remember. That's why, if you're asking me how important protecting our community is, it's my mom and dad. The people on the east side might not relate to that, but they don't have to. That's the beauty of district elections. I have to. And what it means to me is, if we think back to March, when we really knew that something was happening, when the cat was out of the bag, I closed shops. I understand that we're going to take a financial loss, but it's my parents. Well, what does money have to do with your family? What does money have to do with your community? But it's not going to be a long-term plan. What really irritates and angers me is that my community is seen as expendable, not just essential. Essential is probably a pretty way to say expendable, as far as I care. What I need to see is more testing. What I need to see is more education. What I demand to see is more representation, so they know that, hey, there's parents out there, there's children out there, there's somebody's sister or somebody's brother out there. That's what I need the rest of my community to understand. Now, what am I going to do to assure that they're more safer, or they're safe as they can be, is to do exactly what I've been doing in my place of business. And that's seeing what other communities were doing that didn't work, such as not wearing a mask or allowing way too many people into their business. Those are the things that I see failed. So what I've done is I've thrown all my business outside. For example, in the dispensary, we only do curbside pickup. We don't allow people inside of our store. At the jewelry store, Joyeria Maria, Amayapa, what they do is they definitely limit the people that they allow into the store. What I went in there and did, I put this big old plexiglass protectant that separates the customer from them on the other side of the showcase. And I assure you that I watched the camera all day to make sure there's not a lot of people in there. And my parents have their masks on. As their son, it's something that I must do in order to protect my parents. But in protecting my parents, I also think about my community. And we really need to approach the business owner and ask him, ¿qué está trabajando para usted? ¿Qué no está trabajando para usted? ¿Cuál es su preocupación? What is working for you? What is not working for you? What are your concerns? These are the things that we must approach our community with.
Perfect, thank you. So Dwayne, COVID-19, over to you.
Yes. I'd like to state first and foremost that I believe it's really important for everyone to understand how serious COVID can be as a respiratory virus, and it's deadly. Folks may try to minimize it. They might try to say, oh, it's a hoax. I don't go there. That's because I'm a fully trained, California licensed respiratory care practitioner and also a nationally certified respiratory therapist who's been working with critical care virus patients for a long time. The dilemma we face right now is that this is still something that they haven't been able to find a cure for. So we have to do some social changes. A lot of people don't want to do that per se. What I would do as a city council member is I'd make sure that you could get testing going at the parks, at Roseland Village Shopping Center, over in South Park, at the spots where the people are going to congregate right now, and reassure them that this is a helpful thing and reaffirm to them that we're doing it so that they'll have good health. It's not something to impose upon their lifestyle or to limit their situation, especially those folks who are concerned that somehow the government might be involved in taking away their freedoms. One of the things that can happen in a county such as ours, which has a county health officer, is they could work better with the city of Santa Rosa and have people within the city's fire department perhaps working so that it's not the police that are coming forward, but it's the fire people who reach out to these communities of color, to these people who are untrusting of our situation because they've always felt that government is somehow going to be imposing upon them and perhaps maybe even hurting them in a way they might not expect. So what I'd really like to see happen, because I also have to worry about it, and all of the people I know have to worry about being vulnerable to this illness and being perhaps the next person to catch it, is that we get past this idea that it's us versus them. We all bleed red. The virus doesn't know any of us. It can come and take any of us, and it can kill people. And people have died in our community, young and old alike. We don't want to see any more of that happening. We want to work together with our county and city officials to minimize the death and the pain that people feel. This too shall pass. Business will survive. We'll be able to go forward. But unless you find a cure for something, it stays around and can strike anyone at any time unexpectedly. So I want to leave us all on a positive note and say that getting that test will be no worse than getting a flu shot. And you should be out there getting your flu shots right now. The newest vaccination is available. Go get that, and then ask them if you can get a free COVID test, and you'll be good to go. Looking forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Okay, Jorge, if you're ready. Oh, I think you're on mute. You are on mute.
There we go. There we go. Thank you, Vince. You know, I think if we take a step back and think about and really realize that 50%, as of today, 50% of COVID cases in Sonoma County are Latinos, and that in particular, 95407, the zip code that is fully contained in District 1, has the highest active cases, and in fact accounts for 18% of total cases so far. And then if we take an even deeper look and see that half of Sonoma County cases are all stem from close contact, we really start to see why it's impacting the Latino community and our communities of color so heavily. You know, that's because it's really, it boils down to housing. You know, our families are doubling and tripling up. I know that up until last year, I lived with my parents, and it was 7 of us, and 2 dogs and 2 cats, all in a 3-bed, 1-bath house. And that's just the reality that a lot of our families are living in. And so when you pair that with the fact that most Latinos, as I alluded to earlier, are in, and actually as both Eddie and Dwayne alluded to earlier, are essential workers. If you get sick, where else are you gonna go? You know, you have to go back to your house, and you have to, you can't create that separation. And the key there, I think, is just not having the access to housing and not having enough housing so that people don't have to double and triple up. I think that's the key, and I think that's why it's affecting us so deeply, you know. And in addition to that, you know, what we can do, you know, I think each of us as candidates, we can all campaign safely. I know we have been. We can avoid, you know, because it is a challenge, because we all, of course, want to go to door, but it's something that we have to do. You know, we're committing to being safe. I know I'm committing to it. I know my opponents are as well. And something that I have done is we did a mass distribution way when the first when the when the when the masks were made mandatory. We did a mass distribution, and it was very revealing to see where I was sending those masks. You know, because our campaign delivered over 200 masks, and most of those masks were going to Apple Valley, to our apartments in Apple Valley. And to me, that was very eye-opening because, you know, I've lived my whole life in Rosa, and I know there was a need here, but the needs were being met here. People had access to masks, but there were other parts of Santa Rosa that didn't. And I think what the city can do is very easy to have a ton of masks and to distribute them widely. Nobody should be in need of a mask. Something else that the city can do, I think, is focus on small businesses understanding the health order. And that's something that I did, you know, personally. I went to my dad's shop and helped explain the health order to him. I helped explain the health order to the surrounding shops as well. And what I found is what people want to follow the orders, but if you have barriers, if you don't know how to read that sort of language, it's hard to do that. And so we need, you know, our city and our county to work with business and work with individuals on education and on learning how to follow the health orders and how to remain safe, you know, and how to remain as safe as possible, essentially. So I think that's really the key. You know, that's why equity, in fact, is key, because if we were better, if our housing situation was better, I do believe that our the rate of Latinos being impacted by COVID would be a lot lower.
Hear, hear.
So Dwayne, you're first here.
All right. Now
hey,
we're
that's
talking.
the chance that you've been.
I said, let's get it going on in here now. And the question is, how would I promote equity? We get some equity going in this situation.
Speaking of equity, I'm glad that you brought that up, and you know that the next question. So if you're elected to the city council, how will you promote equity in Santa Rosa?
In every way, shape, and form that I possibly could, all aspects of it. I've been going down there to talk with those folks for a long time, and they don't really like the idea of equity. They like that rank has its privileges, and I'm not for that in any way, shape, or form. I want to make sure that as a council person, I'm down there in the office with open office hours, letting anybody in my district or whoever in Santa Rosa come and talk to folks about how we can make it better so it's more fair, more inclusive, more equitable for people in their lives and in the way the city of Santa Rosa impacts their lives. One of the dilemmas right now, I call it zoomed out. There's virtual exclusion going on for a lot of folks because of the digital divide. There's a number of people in my neighborhood, the 95407 zip code, I don't know about South Park per se, that essentially don't have that constant internet access. They're not able to get on at any time. And they have to basically try to find ways to be involved. Right now, the city and the county both will not let you participate in person at their public meetings. You have to do it through this format, make a phone call. That excludes people. There's no two ways about it. But they're actually happy with that. The elected officials, no big deal. The staff is like, hey, there's less to work with. We don't have to deal with more people bothering us. It shouldn't be seen that way. Almost 25 years ago, we had a thing called the Citizens Involvement Task Force. And it was to help put together what was called a community action team, which was to help the people in the community be able to lead our elected officials in what we would like to see done. Instead, they've morphed it over into a thing called the Community Advisory Board, which is a go along to get along board. And it basically is just like, oh, the elected officials tell staff, yeah, let's get CAB to work on this, instead of the other way around. If we have participatory budgeting, that's how we could get more equity. We could involve more people, we could do positive stuff, and bring it from the grassroots up. I really firmly believe South Park and Roseland could be leading the way at this through environmental justice. That's something the city of Santa Rosa has never practiced, and now they have to deal with it on their general plan in the future. Currently, their general plan is an exclusive process, and they're not really including people. The same with the downtown specific plan. They've once again excluded a lot of people and not including folks. So all three of us candidates right now in this election, we're trying to make it more inclusive. We're trying to work together, be collaborative, and get people into a process where they don't really want us. They're looking askance at us like, oh, those are those guys from the other side of the tracks. Well, I'll tell you what, we know what's going on. We'll be working with the regular folks on Grand Avenue, the folks on Petaluma Hill Road, Santa Rosa Avenue. Santa Rosa needs to embrace South Park and Roseland and make it inclusive. If I'm elected, I'm going to be that council member that's doing office hours every day, letting people get involved, and then also appointing people from South Park and Roseland to all boards and commissions. It's going to be a clean sweep, all new people. If I get elected, none of the folks that are in there now from this district are going to still be there. And that's not because they're wrong. It's because new people need to come in, especially young people. That's what we need, is that voice of the future, and not having me in there saying how it should be. I should listen to what they want and then bring that forward and help them get what they want.
Thank you.
So I could keep going on and on.
Yeah, I know you can.
So I just say thank you very much. We'll leave it at that. Thank you kindly.
Jorge, you want to take the next shot?
Sure, yeah. You know, I think when we think about equity, I think about what we can do at the city level, right? Because at the city level, you have certain tools and you have certain levers that you can press on and change. And I'm talking about what we could do at the city level. The city could really focus on equity in two areas, right? Equity in place and equity in service. And equity in place, to me, means this an individual living in South Park, living in Roseland, living along Bellevue Avenue, do they have the same access to parks as somebody else in Santa Rosa? Do they have the same access to trails as somebody else in Santa Rosa? If they have to call the police, when they call the police, do the police arrive in the same amount of time as they would in other parts of the Santa Rosa? And that's really where I can focus on as a council member. So we put that equity is part of our part of our goal setting, and is one of the major goals of the city, that Santa Rosa wants to be a leader in equity, and we put that in our city council goals. That's how you make change, and that's how you make the kind of lasting change, in my opinion, that's going to outlast whoever ends up winning in this race. Because what I'm most concerned with is if we don't change the system within, if we don't change the system of Santa Rosa, the government of Santa Rosa, to be more equitable from the ground up, then who's to say if after 4 years somebody else gets on the council without the good of the community in their heart? You know, then all the hard work that was done for is going to go back to where we started. And to me, that's unacceptable. And what I see as a concrete way is, I want to create an equitable infrastructure ordinance that ensures that how we do projects, and particularly infrastructure projects in Santa Rosa, is done on a needs basis. And I think that's really going to help Roseland. It's really going to help South Park, and it's really going to help any neighborhood in Santa Rosa that needs that extra push to get its infrastructure up to speed. And why I'm so focused on infrastructure, particularly equity in infrastructure, is because I think that infrastructure is the building block, to mental health and to health overall of people. Infrastructure is the sidewalks that your grandma walks home to. It's the trails that my dad likes to go biking every morning in the summer, and it's access to the parks. So that's equity in place. Equity in service, just real quick, is what right now when we see our parks, when we see our summer recreational programs, they're really mainly offered at Finley and in Howard Park and Spring Lake, areas like that. We need to have programs and recreational summer programs for our youth to be able to be involved in all parts of Santa Rosa. That's equity, making things accessible, making things close to whoever they're intended for, and making it so that it doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter where your zip code is, you have equal access to place and equal access to service and equal access to quality infrastructure.
Thank you. So Eddie, you want to take that question? I do have one more question, actually one question from the audience we want to get to. So we're at 6:23.
Hurry up, Eddie. I will talk very slow now, Vince.
They pay me by the hour.
There you go. Hey, we're all having fun, right?
Yeah.
To answer the question, when it comes to equity, equality, you want to call it a mortgage, you want to call it interest, you want to call it dividends, it doesn't matter what we call it. we know what matters is we've been missing a lot. I believe a couple of weeks ago, Dwayne referenced the Sonoma County portrait by the Sonoma County Health Department. When our standard of living is lower than Mississippi's, the lowest ranked state, we have a problem. I don't care what you want to call it. We have a problem. What entails that problem? For me, it's that we don't have representation. I mean, just look at what somebody just stated a little bit ago, the amount of people that we have suffering with the COVID. I believe Jorge said 50%. These are the issues that we're having. This is what we need to focus on. When it was big man Howard, I remember he and I had long conversations about, and just so you know, that's one of the founding members of the Black Panthers. We had long conversations about how Black and brown needed to work together for a better future. These are all things that I believe it comes down to the future and hope. What am I as a city council member going to do to make sure that we improve the quality of life is make sure that no one works harder than myself. I don't care if it's raining or burning outside. I was a little bit not so burning a couple of days ago, but I look like a lobster that survived the first round. But no, for me, I push. I'm not sorry that I'm not a conventional politician or candidate. I am sorry that I don't have the level of education as my fellow candidates. What I'm not sorry for is that passion matters. For me, passion is what drives us beyond a story or a book or a fable. For me, I must complete this. This is exactly my reason of being. So when we're speaking of what am I going to do to help with equity, it's exactly what I've been doing my entire life, and that's fight for my people. So what is Eddie going to continue to do? Eddie's going to continue to fight.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
I made it short, Vince.
No, that was very good.
I'm just kidding.
We're good. We're good. So, we're just running out of time, and so just want to, in closing, what would you like to leave our viewers or participants who are listening to this talk with? And we'll go with Dwayne.
All right, thank you very much, and I appreciate being able to speak with all of you today, especially my fellow Roseland folks. I've helped my community for a number of years, and most recently helped to bring in federal funding for what's called brownfields analysis, which is along Sebastopol Road. Got the United States Environmental Protection Agency to bring $392,000 to the Sonoma County Community Development Commission. Unfortunately, although we had asked for authentic community engagement to be a big part of it, they locked us out after they got the money. And one of the dilemmas on things like this is you can't say anything about it really because they're good to go. They got the dough. So what I'm about in this election, if I'm the one who's chosen, is making sure that there's always going to be authentic community engagement, participatory budgeting, and working to always have accountability and equity for environmental justice for all the residents, not just of our community and our district, but the entire city. It shouldn't be a city that's so used to excluding people that they think only downtown matters. This is a town of almost 180,000 people now. And they need to get with it in the sense of including people of color throughout the community in every district, not just mine, but essentially what I'd like all the viewers to know as we go forward, I'm a serious candidate and I do agree with spending limits, so much so I didn't spend $1,000 to the city of Santa Rosa for them to say I agree with spending limits. So keep that in mind because you won't see my picture in their flyer, but you'll know me about Roseland. You'll know me in South Park because I've been there working in the past. And I will continue to do this. Even if not elected, I'll be there representing. I've stood up before, I'll stand up again. And I'll use that time to accurately report information that I found, do research to help for true, authentic community engagement and environmental justice for right now, the downtown specific plan, and the general plan that's going on right now. And we need to have us in that mix, but the highly paid consultants have been excluding us. So let's get in on it. give me your vote. I'm a happy guy. Politics makes it seem so serious, but these other two guys, they know all three of us have a sense of goodness, wanting to work together, and we're going to walk our talk. Whoever's elected is going to let the others be involved and do our best to get more people of color on all boards and commissions from our district. Plus, we should reach out to Elizabeth Valente, who didn't continue with the election, but she was willing to volunteer and get started. So let's do that. I believe from the look on Vince's face, my time might be near and being up. So I'll say thank you.
I don't have a good poker face. I'm sorry.
But it wasn't good, buddy. It's all good.
So we're gonna complete this round, and then we do want to get to one question. It's one question I've been talking about for a while. But just go ahead, Eddie. Can you your last comments? Not last comments, because we'll ask this other question.
Absolutely. Well, I'll start off by saying I'm not endorsed by the Sonoma County Alliance or any of its members. The folks, the good folks, you like that one, don't you?
Yeah.
The folks that have endorsed me are unions. Those that people who are vetted with protecting the labor. The Democratic Party. When we speak of those words of justice, equality, equity, those folks are putting the organization or the O in organization. They've endorsed Eddie Alvarez. I'm thankful for their endorsement because for my neighborhood, it means that we have a vehicle to jump in. We have a team that's formed and can educate us and give us the resources and their experience. For Roseland, a first-time district, that is invaluable. So thank you to the Democratic Party. I'd also like to thank the Green Party, who have also recommended me. When it comes to the peace and justice, they are the leaders of Sonoma County, and they've been fighting for us for longer than I've been alive. So I thank them for that. In regards to race, inclusion, respect, dignity, I, along with the Hook Dispensary, have been doing events to involve our youth, bringing Black and brown leaders, entertainers, people that the children look up to. We've given them a platform so they can communicate with our youth in a responsible way, in a way that assures a brighter future, assures inclusion. What I want our city of Santa Rosa as a whole to understand is that we have the youth who are now grown men and women who have been educated and who are grateful for the sacrifices of our parents. Their ceiling is our floor. This is our starting point. We are the future that must protect the future. And it is why I ask for your vote on November 3rd for Eddie Alvarez. Please allow me to give back to my community in a whole nother level. We now have teeth. We plan to sink our teeth in the system. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jorge?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess in closing, I'd like to, more or less pose a question to anybody watching, to people who are a part of this, and to really voters in District 1 is, what kind of leadership do you want? And what kind of changes do you want to see in Santa Rosa and in District 1 in particular? And then start from there and then think about what it's going to take to get it done. And then think about how you can help. And then once you have that in mind, just know that I will be there to work with you. I will be there to have people reach out to me. I will be there. I will always be listening. And I'm going to be ready for that. So I'm encouraging people to get ready to get involved, because it may feel like Santa Rosa is a small town, but it's not. In fact, in some states, Santa Rosa would be the biggest city in the entire state. And that's something that we need to, each of us, internalize. Santa Rosa is not a small town, as Dwayne had said. It's a town of almost 200,000 people. And we need council members who are going to be ready to represent. We're going to be ready to collaborate. We're going to be ready to make change. And we're going to be ready to be an example for our youth and for our community. And why it matters to get the youth involved? It matters because getting young people at the table, getting young people represented, getting young people appointed to boards and commissions, young people are the ones who are going to live with the consequences of our decisions. I'm only 27 years old, so I know whatever choice I make, I'm going to have to live with. And that's the case for many other people. And when you look at our current council members, you look at our current governmental structure, it's mostly older people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're not going to have to live with the decisions that you make, when you're not going to see the full effects, and sometimes policies don't take effect for 5, 10, 20 years, when you're not going to see those choices, you're not really in it. You're not really in it to win it, and you're not really in it to see what changes are going to happen. And so I don't have the endorsement of many of our institutional organizations. That's because I feel like the cards are sometimes stacked against younger people. You know, the older you are, the more people you know. Coming into this, I'm brand new to this world. I don't have those relationships, but what I do have is the knowledge. What I do have is the education. What I do have is the drive. And what I do have is a clear vision for Santa Rosa, for Roseland, for South Park, and really for the region, of how we can change things to be more equity focused and how we can change things for the better. So I asked whoever's watching, you know, join Linda Hopkins, join Esther Limos, join Alegria de la Cruz and other leaders who understand equity and who know why I'm the best candidate. Join them in supporting me, and I look forward to working together. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you all. I'm just going to hit this one question. So if you, let's kind of cut it down to 1 minute. And this person is asking, wants you guys to address what you can do about the constant economic segregation that this district has been a victim of for so long. So let's start with Eddie. Just, you know, briefly, if you guys can answer this question. We're a little over, but let's do it.
I appreciate the question. That question, in one sense, describes why I'm able to sit here before you. Why is it that I help my parents harvest grapes, carry buckets of grapes to the tractor for my mom? And yet here I am before you asking for your vote to run for city council. I have great parents who have given me great examples of what type of work ethic is needed in order to thrive, and especially in this environment. And many of those who are concerned about the race relationships know that it's an uphill battle here in Sonoma County. Know that we are expected to stay in our place. But I'm not good at staying in my place. I'm good at seeking more. And I want to educate my community on what I've learned in order to get there, what it's taking to fill out permit applications, what it's taking to be at neighborhood meetings when those things go out, and the planning commission. These are experiences that I believe with Dwayne DeWitt, we have many, many years of fighting the city when it comes to representing the labor force. These are the experiences that have made me who I am, and the individuals throughout our community who have helped me along that path. So when we speak of the financial segregation, it's absolutely real. I've experienced it. I've seen it, but I've thrived and I've conquered it. So please allow me to serve you. Now, what does that mean in a full sense? Let's send more people into the community. Let's ask them what they need. Let's help with Rafa or Marcos being out there and not only being able to say, hey, let's go have a meeting, but let's have the forms there for that meeting. And let's have a workshop that helps them complete that meeting. Let's take away some of the fees that really make no sense for these young entrepreneurs. If we want to get real, it might get uncomfortable, but I'm down.
Perfect. Thank you. Dwayne.
Yes, thank you. Historically, our side of the tracks, if you will, in Santa Rosa has always been neglected and economically segregated. The children that I grew up with, we were all fruit pickers. All of us went out for apples, grapes, prunes, walnuts. Everybody had to find a way to earn a little extra money because times were tough, even in the best of times in the U.S. Our situation in both South Park and in Roseland are that the city hasn't really had a concern to try to make things better for us. Their outlook is like, well, we'll steer and focus those folks who are a bit lower income is a term they use politely, over there. And then they'll keep their nice neighborhoods, McDonald Avenue, Proctor Terrace, Montecito Heights, Fountain Grove, and now Skyhawk as the places where the upper class might go. The dilemma is that it's created not just a two-class system, but some would say even worse, a three-class system with extremely low-income seniors and people of color fighting just to get by. So how can we address that cost of economic segregation? Stop it first. Make a point of having the city have to walk its talk. They've got a housing authority that doesn't do public housing. It spends federal money on housing vouchers, but we could get some good housing towers in the downtown Santa Rosa area, in the downtown specific plan, which includes part of Roseland, but they're not talking with Roseland folks about it. So what I would say first and foremost to deal with this cost of economic segregation is to realize it's there and not sweep it under that big brand new rug they just put in front of the City Hall dais downtown, not kick the can down the road, but take it head on right now, work with the people of color, find what their needs are, and work together to help them thrive. That's Sebastopol Road Commercial Corridor and Petaluma Hill Road also. They should be thriving. Santa Rosa Avenue, thriving, picking it up and making those parts just as good as all that effort spent for downtown. They got to free the folks and lift them out from that segregation. Thank you kindly for the time.
Thank you. And Jorge?
Yeah, well, thank you, Vince. In terms of when talking about economic segregation, you know, if we look at our data, we look at our labor statistics, we see, I think I've said it 3 times now, but we see that Latinos are overwhelmingly represented in our services and in our administrative jobs. These are also the jobs that do not pay as much as other professional roles. And in order to combat that, it really starts with education, because education is key in exposing kids to and children to different jobs. Because the reality is, growing up, my role models were my parents, and my dad he had his mechanic shop. He opened his own small business. It was tremendous to see. And when I started working in the northeast side of town, I encountered people whose parents were doctors, whose parents were lawyers, whose parents were sometimes elected officials. And that's a reality that is not the case a lot of times in District 1. And so why that's the case, in my personal opinion and in my own story, it was because I didn't know about electrical engineering as a career field until my senior year in high school. And it was there that there was a job fair. I attended it. I learned about electrical engineering. But by then, unfortunately for me, I didn't have the grades to go to a 4-year college right away. So I had to go to the JC, like many of my friends. But knowing about that career field sparked an interest in me and kept me driven through the junior college and eventually Sonoma State. And so because education is key, and because that's what sparked the interest in me, I want to create an internship program within the city to expose our high school kids to as many municipal jobs as possible. Because when you see the great expanse of jobs that there are, when you see all sorts of different career fields that you can go into, a lot of times that's the key, understanding how many directions your life can possibly go in and seeing all the different possibilities that you have. And having that exposure to jobs early on, I think is key. You know, I didn't have that growing up. Luckily, I had it going to a career fair. But by then, you know, it was a little bit, not late for me, but it was another barrier that I had to overcome. And if you're 18 and you just learn about a career that you want to get into, but you're also stuck with trying to help your family by working and having to get whatever job you can, if there's another little barrier, sometimes that little barrier, you know, for whatever reasons, you can't overcome it. And it's hard to do that. And so individual cases, you know, are great, but I really want to change things statistically. I really want it so that we don't have this bifurcation of jobs in our economy, so that Latinos are in one job category and other people are in others. And to change that, you know, education is key, you know. And one final thing is, with job automation and everything changing within the coming years, the most affected jobs are going to be jobs in service and administration. So if we want to make things get better, we really have to work within our school boards. We have to work with our schools to increase educational opportunities and to increase opportunities for all our students. So that's the key for me to end economic segregation.
All right. Thank you, Jorge. And I just want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I think I speak for many that we could have spent another hour getting to know you. And hopefully I'm able to connect with you in the community during this campaign and beyond, because you know, I admire your willingness to put yourself forward in order to run for office in this very challenging time. So thank you for all of you again.
Pleasure was ours.
And many kudos to you for the service that you've done over the years. From the little white van when we're passed out toys at the Bad Benita's gasoline station. I mean, great times with you, brother. So I hope for many more, regardless of what happens here. And with Dwayne, with Jorge, the same. I mean, it's Jorge, nice to meet you. Dwayne, we've been at it for a while. Let's keep it rocking.
Yeah.
Let's have ourselves a dinner on election night and enjoy each other's company.
There you go, brother.
I'm there.
It'll be the best Zoom meeting we've ever done so far, huh?
No, we're not Zooming on election night, man. We'll get together and I'll be buying you a brewski.
So thanks again. And I want to tell everybody that we have a great evening tomorrow night with candidates from the District 7. And that will be moderated by Marcus Clark, our own Marcus Clark, who is our communications director. And so we're excited to have candidates from the Southwest area 2 nights in a row, and very pleased to provide this service to our community. So thank you very much to everybody who tuned in. Thank you all the candidates. Thank you for our translators who did a great job in terms of keeping up with all of us. And I apologize to Dwayne that I kind of missed you being first a couple times. So I'll get you back.
I don't mind, buddy. I go along to get along.
All right. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vince.
All right.
Thanks, buddies.
All
I'll
right.
be seeing you guys soon now. Let's get out there.
Let's do it.
All righty. Yes, indeedy. Is this thing done?